Hey guys, I'm Orfo here. Finally get some time to show you my penetration build. A few people have asked me how I managed to pull off that amount of damage without using any proc sets on my stamina Nightblade, and so I decided to make a build video, my first ever, to show you first. And so I wanted to start off just by showing you my stats and then my gear. So fully buffed and in stealth. This is my stat sheet. I've got 1200 magicka recovery, over 2000 stamina recovery, and when the weapon damage glyph procs, which is basically all the time, over 4000 weapon damage. I don't have a great deal of max health, but it's okay. I've got a decent amount of stamina. This build is not made for tanking. It's not made for this sort of things. It's not very survivable. It's a real glass cannon, so it's supposed to go in, do damage, get the kill quick and fast, and then get out, stealth away, and that's how it's supposed to survive. It's not the easiest build to play, but I find it really fun. I'm a vampire, which helps me with survivability and also mobility, as I'm going to show you later. For my Mundus Stone, I've decided to go for the warrior for increased weapon damage, since I basically get my stamina regeneration mainly from blue drinks, okay, which grant me both magicka and stamina regeneration. Now, as far as my gear is concerned, here we go. Again, no proc sets whatsoever. So I run one piece Crags, which grants 1800 physical penetration, and then 5 pieces Spriggans, which grant another 3800 physical penetration. I run 5 pieces Impen, 1 Divines, and 1 well fitted. I strongly encourage, since you're so fragile, to wear at least 5 pieces impenetrable. That's really optional. It's really up to you and whatever you are comfortable with. Then I'm also wearing 2-piece Lecky for an added weapon damage. So 1 on my belt and 1 on my weapons. Okay, both my front and back bars are Lecky. I run a 2-hander and bow build, and then for my jewelry I've got 3 pieces of agility for added max stamina and weapon damage. Right, let's move on to the skills. On my front bar I've got rally for major brutality and that much needed burst heal. Then I've got Killer's Blade as executioner. Now, another very valid alternative to Killer's Blade is obviously reverse slice. As far as single target damage, the difference is not major, it's not huge. But reverse slice offers a very nice splash damage to nearby enemies. That is, the damage that you would do to your primary target, 85% of it would be splashed out around that target to nearby enemies. I often use it in a combo. I would strike from range, from stealth, then jump onto that primary target while it's surrounded by his friends, slam them down with a Dawnbreaker, and then reverse slice the main target. Very often this combination allows me to kill more than one opponent at the same time, which is quite nice. But single target wise, I prefer Killer's Blade. The animation is much faster If you know how to animation cancel well, then you shouldn't have any problems with reverse slice. But Killer's Blade is quite nice. It gives you back 21% of your max health if the target dies within 2 seconds. It's great. Then I've got Mass Hysteria, obvious reason, and then my spammable DPS skill, Surprise Attack, and then my Gap Closer Ambush. Now, when it comes to an ultimate, this is again another flexible spot. Onslaught is actually a very good skill. It's a terrific skill. It costs 150 ultimates, so it's 50 more than incapacitating strikes. But what is great about this ultimate is that if you use it as a finisher, if the target dies by it, the whole cost of the ultimate gets refunded, which is fantastic. Another reason to use it and to kind of stay on the theme of this build is the fact that it ignores the target's resistance 100%. That means that if you're going against a full heavy armor target, the damage will simply go through as if it were wearing nothing, suffering the full damage of this skill, but at the same time it would grant you the physical and spell resistance of that target for 8 seconds. That means that if you're using it against a heavy armor build or a tank, you would be just as tanky as they are for the next 8 seconds, which is great. But if you're not sold by this skill, Incapacitated Strike is a great option, not only for the damage, but also because it stuns the target for 4.5 seconds and increases your damage against them by 20%. And it also inflicts the enemy with major defile that reduces the effectiveness of their healing done to them by 30%. This is great against Templars. This is great against players with great survivability. It's great against players with great burst heal and all that. Now let's move on to my back bar. Now here I've got double take. Now I know that a number of people would prefer shuffle to double take because shuffle grants you immunity to snares and immobilizations for 5 seconds. But on this particular build, I actually prefer double take because it grants me major expedition without taking me out of stealth. This means that I can be cloaked and moving at an incredible speed, also because I am a vampire, without never being detected. And because it's a magicka based ability, my stamina is not consumed. I mean, look at my stamina bar. It's hardly coming down. It's just amazing. I get this very nice 30% speed bonus for 4 seconds, and that allows me to just chase anyone in the shadows. It's amazing, incredibly useful, and this is why I go for double take rather than shuffle. Then I've got Resolving Vigor, obviously, for a very nice heal over time, stamina base. Then I've got Shadowy Disguise. This is obviously not just great simply because it takes you into stealth, because it gives you invisibility for 2.9 seconds, but because it grants you a critical strike on your next ability. So if you cloak just before using your ultimate or your finisher or whatever ability, it's always going to be a critical strike, which is absolutely great. Then I've got Poison Injection for a nice dot, especially after the enemy falls under 50% health. And then finally I've got a Relentless Focus. This more for that nice 10% boost to my stamina regeneration, and also that 8% damage bonus to all my abilities. And then my ultimate on my back bar is Flawless Dawnbreaker. Now the reason why I've picked this morph is because of the 5% bonus to my weapon damage while it's slotted, so that gives me an extra kick to my bow bar skills. And but it's also great when you're 1vxing and you've got your opponents right in front of you, lined up or grouped up, kind of in a cone shape in front of you. This is great to hit them all at the same time. It's also undodgeable, unblockable. It's just a great skill. Now let's take a look at my champion points. I've got in the green tree, I've got 54 points into Warlord and 5 into Sprinter. I've got 89 points into Mooncalf and 39 points into Tumbling. Now, Shade could do with a couple extra points. Since I'm in stealth most of the time, I could actually take some points off Sprinter. In fact, take the 5 points off Sprinter and put them into Shade. But so far I've not had any major problems, so I've not really seen it as a necessity. Then in the green tree I've got 10 points into Blessed, here nothing, and 100 points into Mighty, and then everything else into Piercing to reach over 4k physical penetration. Now this plus the armor that I'm wearing plus the sharpened on my weapons helps me to reach 15k physical penetration, which is more than what medium armor and light armor characters actually wear, and it's the greatest majority of what heavy armor wearers actually have. So this enables me to inflict so much damage on any character, even heavy armor users, without using any proc sets, which is great. By the way, talking about proc sets, I know that the next patch is going to be a balancing patch. Now I'm a bit nervous because when Zenimax balances things, they always go a bit too extreme, either nerfing too much or buffing too much. So I'm not sure whether Magicka will get a buff, but I have a strong feeling that Stamina will get a fairly sizable nerf, especially proc set. So this build, in a sense, if you like, it's in anticipation of the next patch that's going to be coming through. I think it's in January, February. In any case, it's going to be early in the new year. Then we've got in the red tree, nothing here, 100 points into Hardy, 73 into Elemental Defender, since I'm a vampire and I don't do very well with fire, and then finally 14 points into Quick Recovery. Now this is it. If you guys have enjoyed this build video, please leave a like and a subscribe. If I have missed anything out that I'm not aware of right now, just let me know in the comment section. Just leave a comment and I will reply as soon as I can. Thank you very much. See ya.